Coming up on the Paper Talk today, we're looking at Erik ten Hag. He's been doing a bit of analysis for Dutch TV with the England game of maybe throwing a little bit of shade at Gareth Southgate. Can we say that? Also, United have been linked with a few players, so we'll get into that as well. Let's get into it then. Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and the weather it's not too bad. Loads of stories to get through, so we'll crack on. Before we do though, make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. We want to get to 800,000 subscribers. We've got to 750,000 now. 800,000 is the next target, and with your support we can get there. A lot of stories this morning focusing on Erik ten Hag's appearance on television last night, giving analysis for the England versus Serbia game. Maybe you could say he was throwing a little bit of shade at Gareth Southgate, sort of semi-critical of his tactics, saying a little bit passive, and that he was letting Serbia sort of attack England a little bit and relying on moments, I think he said, from some of the England players. Some people have looked at that, seen as him throwing a little bit of a dig at Gareth Southgate, who not that long ago was linked with the Manchester United job, let's not forget. But he's been honest in his analysis, and I don't think Erik ten Hag is saying anything that other managers, or other pundits I should say, haven't said when analysing England. If you look at that performance, especially once England took the lead, then we were, and I say we because I'm an England fan, we're inviting a lot of pressure from Serbia. England were on the back foot quite a lot, and when you consider the players that England have got at their disposal compared with the players that Serbia have got, it wasn't exactly a game for the ages. It wasn't one that you look back at and go, well, that was a fantastic performance from England. They're setting a stall out early in the Euros. So Erik ten Hag, looking at the tactics there, looking at the way that Gareth Southgate set up his team, looking at the way that England invited a bit of pressure and pointing that out, and loads of people in the media have jumped on that, obviously, because Erik ten Hag, he was under pressure. Gareth Southgate was linked with his job. I, for one, dreaded the idea of Gareth Southgate coming to Manchester United and taking over from Erik ten Hag. And Erik ten Hag, with his analysis, has been quick to point out a few flaws, maybe, in Gareth Southgate's tactics. And he's not the only one saying this. I don't think you can say, oh, he's being bitter or he's being harsh. Pretty much every pundit, every bit of analysis I've seen was relatively critical of Gareth Southgate and his tactics and the way he set up. Yes, England got the job done. That's the most important thing for your first group game. Get that win. But it wasn't a great performance. It wasn't one where you look at it and go, this is why England are one of the favourites for the competition. A team like Serbia, they've got some decent players, but how many of the Serbia team will get in the England squad? Probably none of them. So it was one of those where you go, the performance wasn't great, the result was. And Erik ten Hag, I thought he was pretty fair in his analysis, in the quotes that I've seen. And he is that kind of guy in here, Erik ten Hag. He is someone that is quite matter-of-fact when he speaks. He's not one for sort of bluster or for being a little bit sort of, you know, difficult or different. I think he just says it as he sees it, and I think that's what he did with his analysis there. He thought England were playing a little bit on the back foot. He thought that came from the manager, and he mentioned that in his analysis. A lot of the press have picked up on that, going, well, that's Erik ten Hag having a little bit of a dig at Gareth Southgate. I don't think it's that sinister. I think it's just him being honest in his analysis, and he's echoing what a lot of people have said about England's tactics and about the way Gareth Southgate set up his team. And I, for one, would not like to see those tactics here at Manchester United, and I don't think that really should happen. I don't even know if it was going to happen. I think some people, looking at the fact that Dan Ashworth and Gareth Southgate have got a bit of a relationship from their time at England and putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 5. Anyway, I hope that is the case, but you never know. Those rumours might not go away, especially if England do well in the Euros and Erik ten Hag has a difficult start to the season. But I'm going to let you know right now, I don't care how well England do in the Euros or how badly Erik ten Hag does next season. I do not want to see Gareth Southgate managing Manchester United Football Club. Erik ten Hag also spoke about the fact that United had chatted to him and admitted they spoke to Thomas Tuchel. He said they came over to Ibiza to speak to him and to let him know what was going on there with his job, and that his job was safe, and that they'd spoken to other managers and they decided that he was the best manager to go with. So a bit of an interesting appearance there from Erik ten Hag, but it was quite funny to see, to be honest with you, and I'm glad he's giving analysis and saying a few bits as well on the game and just sort of letting us know what's going on and giving us a bit of an update, because there's been a lot of speculation, not just about his job and what's going on there, but about the manner in which Ineos went around it. Did they let him know? Did he know about it? How did he find out? So he's cleared that up a little bit on Dutch television, which was good to see. Talking of the Dutch, Xavi Simons is a player that's been linked with Manchester United. There's a story in the Metro saying that Manchester United are looking at him, are interested in him. He's away with Holland for the Euros. Had a very good season at RB Leipzig. I think he's in the league. He's got 21 goal involvements in 32 games. He's at PSG. He was on loan at RB Leipzig, and there's talk of him moving on from PSG. And United apparently looking at him. A very good player. exciting player, can play as a sort of an attacking midfielder or on the right-hand side of midfield. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him, whether Manchester United are going to really go for him. Obviously, the right-hand side of Manchester United's attack is one where there's a few question marks, isn't there, really? We know that Mason Greenwood, it's unlikely he's going to come back. Anthony has been a bit of a disaster. Amad Diallo can play there. The jury's still out on over whether Erik Hag truly fancies him there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and whether someone like Simons is someone that Manchester United go for. On transfers as well, saw an interesting story. It was in Goodison News, and they've done an interview, I think, with Brian King, who's a former Everton scout, and he's basically saying that the bid for Jared Branthwaite has been accepted. And when I looked into this, I think that's a little bit premature to say there's a bid been accepted. He was saying that he felt that £50 million plus add-ons could get the deal done. A bit of a stretch to say the bid has been accepted. We know that Manchester United came in, I think, with a £35 million bid. That was rejected from Everton. We expect another bid to come in from United. I think it's going to cost around the £60 million mark, maybe £50 million plus add-ons. Could get the deal done. That's just me speculating. I've not got any ITK info there. Let me know what you think in the comments. We did a little bit of a chat yesterday with an Evertonian. We had him on the watch-along for the England game, Matt Dempsey, who's telling us what he thinks of Jared Branthwaite. The thing that Ineos have got to be careful for here is that they don't get into this situation where we're spending 70 million on a player who, despite being very good, is relatively inexperienced. I know he's played a lot of games for a 21-year-old, but he's never played in the Champions League for Everton. He's never been in a sort of a Champions League race with Everton. He's never played in a team that's sort of challenging at the top end of the table. He's been at Everton. He's been I think he was on loan at PSV, was it? I think he was on loan at as well. Came through from Carlisle. So he's got some experience, but it would be a bit of a stretch to say he's worth 70 million quid, which is what some Evertonians have been saying. I think closer to 50 million quid would make a lot more sense to me. Whether Everton can afford to play hardball remains to be seen. They've got their own issues going on, obviously with PSR. They had points deductions as well. Getting someone like Branthwaite, a big deal for him, would help them. Depends on how hard they want to go in terms of that deal. Are they willing to push the envelope there? Are they willing to play hardball? Or could United find some sort of common ground? But we'll have to wait and see. It looks like there's going to be maybe a couple more bids there. Maybe there's a bit of back and forth. But Ineos may have to walk away from it if the money gets a little bit silly. Because this is a big test for Ineos now. This is their first big transfer. Now, if they set out their stall and they say, look, we are not going to carry on doing things the way they were done with Ed Woodward and John Murtagh and Richard Arnold, where we pay over the odds for players. Because over the last sort of 10 years, you've seen United, whenever we've gone in for a player, we've always pretty much paid whatever the selling club wants. You look at Leicester with Harry Maguire, they wanted 80 million, they got 80 million. You look at Crystal Palace with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. They wanted 50 million, they got 50 million. Ajax with Anthony, they wanted around 80 million, I think that came to. They got it. Now, Ineos have got the opportunity to show that, look, this isn't the same this isn't business as usual for Manchester United. We're going to do things differently. We've got a limit. We're going to walk away from deals if the price isn't right, and that's what we're going to have to do with Jared Branthwaite. Get involved in the chat in the comments and let us know what you think. Just on the England front as well, we know that Mainoo was the only United player who was involved with England last night. Had a cameo, really, didn't he? Only about 4 or 5 minutes, I think he played. Did well when he came on. Nice and tidy. Didn't have a lot to do. We can't really judge him too much, other than saying he was obviously man of the match. I thought he was the best player on the pitch, and I think he is England's best player. But listen, we'll have to wait and see whether Gareth Southgate is going to give Mainoo more minutes. I would like to see him start in midfield. I don't think Trent Alexander-Arnold did. He didn't do a lot wrong, but he didn't do a lot right either. It was okay performance, a bit sloppy at times. It was a bit, meh, to be honest with you. And I'd much rather see Mainoo in there, but we don't know what's going to happen. Conor Gallagher was the first substitute in midfield that came on, so maybe Gareth Southgate's going with him. We'll have to wait and see what happens on that front. But as always, we will keep you posted. Make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. We're going to be back later on with the Paddock podcast. Myself and Joe Smith and Ronaldo Brown are back for... Oh, no, actually, Ronaldo Brown's away, innit? Forgive me. Myself and Joe Smith and a special guest will be back for that one. So don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. I've been Jay Motty. This has been the Paper Talk outside a pretty breezy Old Trafford. Thanks for watching.